chapter, that is biological classification. This is for the first years of botany, first years intermediate BPC students. Subject is botany. We have already completed with our very first chapter, that is the living world. Now we are going to start with the second chapter, that is the biological classification. So what is the main thing about the biological classification is, why do you divide all the organisms into different categories? So that you can study them in brief. Okay, it's nothing but if you are able to classify organisms into different categories, it is easier for you people to identify which organism belongs to which class and which biological ecosystem. For example, in a library, you can if you are going in a library and you are searching for a book called you're searching for a book of section called as novels or some comic books. So you are not able to find it in a whole library. You can just go into the library and search for a section where the comic books are written, like you have a heading for the shelf or rack which is called as comic books, and you can directly go and pick up the book. So similarly, in case of organisms also, we no need to discover each and every class of the organism, go and search each and every part of the world. You can classify organisms into different categories based on the various categories or based on various characteristic features of their. So due to which you can easily find out which organism belongs to which class. So how do we know all these classifications is very important, is nothing but according to fossil evidence, life on Earth is speculated to have begun roughly around 3.7 billion years ago. It is not today that life has emerged. It is around 3.7 billion years ago life has speculated on Earth. Today the Earth is home to countless species. We all know that Earth is the home or a space for countless species. We cannot count the species, how many species are being living on this Earth, which among which ranging from microscopic microbes to usually very large blue whales. Okay, from smallest organisms to largest organisms, a number of species are living on this Earth. The diversity of life is so vast that there are many species yet to be discovered. Of course, we are not aware of many species that has to be discovered in the further years. For example, I'll give a basic example. A giant squid was nothing more than a sailor's tail until an actual specimen was recorded on video in 2004. In 2004, a giant squid was recorded on a video. Until then, we don't know that there was such kind of organism do exist in the world. Okay, so there are various other organisms which had to be more invented or discovered in further years. Okay. Similarly, there are many organisms that are yet to be identified or discovered. However, we do not need a system to classify the organisms that we don't know. Of course, the organisms which we don't know, we are not able to classify them, but the organisms which are aware of it, which we know that exist in the world, which are useful to mankind and which are of many living from many ancestral years. So those organisms are to be classified into various other organisms. But the organisms which are not yet discovered or not yet known to mankind are no need to be classified. Okay. So this is due to the fact that the same organisms or its variations may exist across multiple locations around the planet. And these organisms are given different names according to the locations, though all are biologically the same organism. That means a single organism which lives in a particular place has got different varieties of names, different varieties of features. So depending upon its features, it has got a different name for its living mankind. Okay. Hence, we can say that the idea of biological classification was put forward for the identification of various other organisms so that they can be named under a single category and can be put under a single track. We shall also explore how the biological classification is being further studied in detail in this chapter. Okay. So the first slide includes the definition of biological classification, that is scientific procedure. It is a scientific procedure of arranging various organisms in a hierarchical species. Hierarchical is nothing but we have studied in the first chapter, that is from kingdom to phylum to class to order to genus to species to genus. That is nothing but the hierarchical system of which includes, of course, groups as well as subgroups based on their similarities and dissimilarities. Various organisms which are grouped under single category depending upon their various physical characteristics and various chemical characteristics are called as biological classification. Many biologists have contributed. Various, like many hundreds of biologists have been put forward their theories for the classification of organisms based on their characteristic features. So among which only very few scientists have got approval for their classification system. So what are those classification system? We'll study in detail in the coming chapters. Okay. Next, what is the need for the classification? Why do you want to classify the organism? Just now I told you that you cannot go in a library and search for the comic book throughout the library. It takes you a long time. So you actually want to read a comic book. So you can directly go into the library, go and search for the rack or a shelf where the books belonging to comics are available, and just take it and you can have it. You can, go through it. So similarly, in that also, classification is mainly responsible so that you can easily identify organisms and easily classify them among different groups, among different characteristic features. Okay. So you can see all kind of organisms do not occur in one locality. Main important point is you cannot find all the organisms in a single locality. You have to go and search for all the organisms in different locations, different varieties, different diversities. So it is the main important feature for which the diversity has been, classification has been invented. Okay. And classification helps in knowing the relationship between the different groups of organisms. You can have differences between, you can read the differences between two different organisms. That is a plant, a single plant, or you can say example a mango plant and a banana plant. What is the difference between mango and banana? You can have that idea about differences between two different organisms or plants or any other species. Okay. It helps in knowing evolutionary relationship between organisms. That is nothing but the newly evolved organisms. You are able to learn, or you are able to identify the organisms which are evolutionized in further years or in upcoming years, or which are being evolutionized in the recent years. You are aware of all the organisms. You have been aware of all the organisms because of this classification. Okay. And one more important point is, what is the main basis of this classification? I can tell you that it is mainly responsible for classifying organisms, plants, animals, microorganisms, and various plant-like organisms. Like for example, fungi. Fungi is looking like a plant. It looks like plant, but it's not a plant organism. It doesn't come under animal organism because it is non-motile organism. So you have certain organisms which has to be classified based on their structure, based on their characteristic feature. Okay. So coming to next slide, we are going to study about the history of classification. What is mean by history of classification is nothing but who are the scientists who have been put forth their abilities, their work for the classification of organisms into different categories. What are the main features of the classification based on the scientist's review, and what are the limitations and drawbacks we are going to study in the further slides. Okay. So very first slide, it is nothing but kingdom classification, which was first discovered by Aristotle. Aristotle, I told you, he is the father of botany. Okay. He is the father of botany. Aristotle was the scientist who discovered organisms, that is organisms, and he classified organisms based on two characters, that is plants and animals. And he discovered the organisms based on their shape, size, color, and movement, which includes air, water, and land. I'll explain you once again. Aristotle, who is the father of botany, described the organisms or classified the organisms based on their shape, size, color, or movement, that is which move through air or water or land. Okay. He described or he classified organisms based on these characteristic features. Okay. The history of biological classification began with Aristotle, who is the great philosopher who is often called as the father of biological classification. He described animal classification based on their habitat, that is air, water, and land. He was the first person to recognize the need for the groups and group names in the study of the animal kingdom. Later, biologists started to work on the classification of living organisms based on their characteristics. That is, later biologists started to work on the classification of living organisms based on their characteristics. Characteristics can be explained in many ways. A group of organisms is similar enough to be classified together by certain characteristics. Characteristics are the appearances, form of behavior, function of something, or appearance or form and behavior, function of something. These characteristics decide which organism will be placed in which group. Based on their appearance, based on their form and behavior, based on their function, they are classified. Organisms are classified so that they can be placed under which group. For example, a dog has limbs but a snake doesn't. A dog and a snake can move, but plants cannot. I am giving you a basic example. A dog has limbs, but a snake doesn't have any limbs. A dog and a snake can move. They both can move. Though the snake does not have any limbs, it can move, but the plants cannot move. So they all does not belong to the same category. These are the characteristics of different organisms. These behaviors classify them into different groups, but which character should be the fundamental form or function? That is, which character should be classified as a main character, that we are going to study. Okay. As per the above example, how should a dog be classified, whether on the basis of body design or its locomotion? It like based on what characteristic feature dog has to be classified. Therefore, this was not successful. That is, they both move. Of course, a dog also moves, snake also moves. So, because of this characteristic feature, that is, it has to be classified based on their movement or body shape, this classification was not satisfied. Further, in the upcoming years, that is in the mid 1700s, okay, in the mid 1700s. Before going to that, further, we just study about the drawbacks of the Aristotle classification. That is, why is this classification is not being accepted? Because there are few limitations because of which this classification was not accepted. That is, many unrelated organisms are places, many unrelated organized places are in the same group due to the matching habitats. Because the organisms are being in a same habitat, they are grouped under a single category, that is single classification. So that is not exactly what we want. Okay, and many related organisms are positioned in different groups due to their differences in their form and habitat. Many organisms which are in the same places, that is which belongs to same category, but due to their differences in the form and habitat, they are grouped under different categories. Okay, and no evolutionary relationship between the organisms has been considered while making the classification. These are the main drawbacks of the of Aristotle's classification. So in further studies, that is in further classification, we move on to further classification. The next slide includes two kingdom classification. In two kingdom classification, we will be studying about in the mid 1700s, that is exactly around in 1735, Carolus Linnaeus, a Swedish botanist. Who is Carolus Linnaeus? We studied in first chapter, that is the scientist who discovered binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature is the scientist who Carolus Linnaeus is the scientist who discovered binomial nomenclature. Okay, in the mid 1700s, that is exactly in 1735, Carolus Linnaeus, who is a Swedish physician and a botanist, published several books on different species of plants and animals. According to his system of classification, he grouped organisms according to common physical traits and developed the two-part biological nomenclature, that is two kingdom classification, characterizing among them according to the genus and species. This type of classification was effective, but it was not much effective as the further classification has been done. This type of classification was effective. Later, his work was combined with the work of Charles Darwin, forming the foundation of modern taxonomy. But today, the classification, that is the two kingdom classification, is not much accepted. Why? Because there are few drawbacks about him, which include plants comprised of photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic species are grouped under a single category. That is, the plants which comprises of photosynthetic as well as non-photosynthetic are grouped under a single species. That is, he divided kingdoms into two groups, that is plants and animalia, that is kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. Only because of those two species we cannot justify the classification, that is there are few plants which are non-photosynthetic, so it cannot be a justification for the plants which are non-photosynthetic in nature. Okay, and one more important is fungi, which are main important characteristic features of which does not belong to both animal kingdom as well as plant kingdom. They are also placed under a plant kingdom. That is fungi that feed on dead organic water were placed under photosynthetic plants. That is a Plantae kingdom, that is Vegetablea kingdom. There was another class of classification needed where the organisms with the same characteristics were clubbed into one kingdom. This system does not distinguish between the eukaryotes and the prokaryotes, that is unicellular and multicellular organisms, as well as photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms. Photosynthetics are nothing but the green algae, non-photosynthetic are nothing but the fungi. Okay, and there are some organisms which neither fall into plant nor animal kingdom, for example lichens. I'll repeat once again the drawbacks. The plants comprised of photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic species were grouped under a single category, that is kingdom Plantae or Vegetablea. Fungi that feed on dead organic matter were placed under photosynthetic plants. There was another class of classification needed where the organisms with the same characteristics were clubbed into one kingdom. This system did not distinguish between the eukaryotes and prokaryotes, unicellular and multicellular organisms, and photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms. There are some organisms which neither fall into plant nor animal kingdom like lichens. There are few organisms which have to be classified into various other categories based on their characteristic features. Okay, so coming to next slide. Coming to next slide. Further, we have discovered about three kingdom classification, that is Ernest Haeckel, a German zoologist who discovered after a century of two kingdom classification, a German scientist, that is a German zoologist named Ernest Haeckel, discovered that there has to be another class for the unicellular organisms, and he discovers a class called as Protista. The class named called as Protista. He discovered a class name called as Protista for the unicellular organisms, making it a three kingdom classification. Earlier it was only a single kingdom classification when Aristotle was there, but later on when Carolus von Linnaeus has discovered the two kingdom classification based on the plants and animalia, that is Vegetablea and Animalia, that is nothing but Plantae. Later on that also does not been approved because unicellular organisms and photosynthetic, non-photosynthetic organisms all are kept under a single classification. But later on, that is Ernest Haeckel, who is a German zoologist, in 1866, Ernest Haeckel proposed the third kingdom classification, that is Protista, where he placed all the unicellular organisms. That kingdom, he also named it as the kingdom of primitive forms. The first formed organisms, or you can say the smallest organisms, were placed under the kingdom called as Protista. But this kingdom, this classification was not accepted because I told you that fungi does not belong to Protista, nor Plantae, nor Animalia. So there has to be a particular classification for the organisms which are cell walled, which are non-cell walled, which are multicellular, and which are unicellular. Okay. So for the and as well as for the organisms which are photosynthetic and the organisms which are non-photosynthetic. So for the classification of these characteristic features, this classification also was not accepted further. So in the next slide, further it was classified as four kingdom classification. In the four kingdom classification, in addition to Protista, Plantae, Animalia, the four kingdom classification included one more topic called as Monera, one more group called as Monera. The studies with electron microscope made it clear that bacteria and related organisms have a different nuclear structure as compared to others. That's what I told you in the earlier, that is in the three kingdom classification. There are certain organisms whose nuclear structure is different, far different from our nuclear structure or from plants' nuclear structure. So to classify these organisms into a different category, there has to be a new group. So based on that characteristic features of the bacteria, new group known as Monera is being put forward, but by the scientist called as Copeland. Copeland is the scientist. The full name is Herbert Faulkner Copeland, whose date of birth was May 21st, 1902, and date of death was October 15, 1968. Was an American biologist who contributed to the theory of biological kingdoms. He grouped unicellular organisms into two large kingdoms, that is Monera and Protista. In 1966, he included bacteria and one of the most primitive algae called blue-green algae under kingdom Monera. That is, algae are photosynthetic bacteria. They are grouped under the category of Monera because they are primitive organisms, or you can say primitive bacteria. So they are primitive algae, so they are grouped under a category of Monera. Now, up till now it was 3 kingdom classification. By the inclusion of Monera group, now the classification has been put forward into a 4 kingdom classification by the scientist called as Copeland. Okay, he is the scientist who discovered a new group called as Monera for all the unicellular organisms, which includes bacteria and as well as algae, that is photosynthetic organisms. Okay, so next, in this classification, earlier classification was also accepted partially, but only because of the non-classification of fungi, that classification was not furtherly completed. It was not completed properly. So further, by the scientist called as Robert Harding Whittaker. Robert Harding Whittaker is the scientist who discovered in the year 1969. Robert Harding Whittaker, who is the American plant ecologist, in the year 1969 classified the organisms based on different categories, that is cell structure, mode of nutrition, reproduction, thallus organization. Thallus is nothing but body organization, phylogenetic relationship. What is mean by phylogenetic relationship is nothing but ancestral relationship. Like how do their generations look alike? Okay. So based on these characteristic features, Whittaker classified the kingdom classification into 5 kingdom classification. Whittaker classified the kingdoms or biological organisms into 5 kingdom classification based on the cell structure, mode of nutrition, that is how do they take food, reproduction, thallus organization, phylogenetic relationship. Phylogenetic relationship is nothing but the ancestral relationship among the organisms. Okay. So in the next slide, it was the scientist Robert Harding Whittaker. You can see in the slide, in the picture itself, you have 5 kingdom classification, that is Plantae, Animalia, Fungi, Protista and Monera. I'll explain you once again. Plantae, Animalia, Fungi, Protista and Monera. Fungi, Animalia, Protista, Monera and Animalia. These are the 5 kingdoms by which the classification of organisms was completed. But there are a few classifications where this classification was not completely completed, but we study according to this classification. Our study, like up till now, the study of the organisms is widely accepted by 5 kingdom classification. Okay, so you can see first comes Monera, that is the primitive organisms, then Protista, then Plantae, Fungi and Animalia. Okay, so Monera are the organisms which are prokaryotic in nature, observe and photosynthesize, motile or non-motile. Some organisms are motile, which can move from one place to other place. Some organisms are non-motile. You can see examples of bacteria. Okay, non-motile algae. Protista, eukaryotes. These are the eukaryotic organisms, that is unicellular or multicellular, observe or ingest, photosynthesize, sexual or asexual. That is, some organisms are asexual in nature. Asexual is nothing but from a single parent cell, you can divide the parent cell into daughter organisms. A single parent cell can divide itself into daughter organisms. It's called as asexual reproduction. Okay. So Plantae, we all know that multicellular organisms with cell wall which are non-motile, and sexual reproduction takes place in plants. And in animals, of course, sexual reproduction, motile. Motile is nothing but moving from one place to other place. As well as fungi, that is eukaryotic microorganism, multicellular, observes food from dead and decaying organic matter. non-motile, and of course it is also a sexual reproduction. Fungi example you can take mushrooms. Okay. So next, in the next slide we will be studying in detail about prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are the organisms which are unicellular single-celled organisms. Okay. Further classification you can see organisms which are single-celled, that is single-cell organisms, are called as prokaryotic organisms, whereas in eukaryotes also you have some amount of cells which are unicellular as well as multicellular. Okay, you can see a classification box where organisms are divided into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, some organisms are unicellular, which belong to the class called as Monera. In eukaryotes, some organisms are unicellular and some are multicellular. In unicellular, which is further divided into without cell wall, with cell wall. Okay, that is with cell wall, which does not perform photosynthesis, comes under category of fungi. Fungi does not perform photosynthesis. It always depends on dead and decaying matter for their food purpose. Okay. So in with cell wall, the organisms which comes under a category of cell wall, that is Protista, and unicellular, which does not perform photosynthesis, comes under a category of fungi. Which perform photosynthesis, of course, they are plants, Plantae, kingdom Plantae. But the organisms which are multicellular in nature and which does not have any cell wall comes under the category of Animalia. So in this classification, we have covered all the 5 kingdoms, that is Monera, Protista, Animalia, fungi and Plantae. That is Monera are unicellular prokaryote cells, Protista unicellular eukaryotic cells, Animalia are without cell wall multicellular organisms which comes under the category of eukaryotic cells. Plantae, which comes under with cell wall, comes under the category of eukaryotic cells, multicellular and eukaryotic cells. Similarly, fungi, which does not perform photosynthesis with cell wall, multicellular and eukaryotic cells. So, except Monera, all the 4 kingdoms belong to the category of eukaryotic cells. That is, they are multicellular and some which contains cell wall. Some organisms will contain cell wall, some organisms will not have any cell wall. Okay. The next slide. So same thing, organisms which are prokaryotic in nature and eukaryotic in nature. Prokaryotic, Monera, eukaryotic, just now I told you, Protista, multicellular organisms with cell wall, that is phototrophic, which can perform photosynthesis, which are Plantae, which does not perform photosynthesis, which depend on other organisms, are called as heterotrophic, which comes under the category of fungi, and which are without the cell wall comes under the category of Animalia. So further, there are few examples of the classes, that is in Monera, examples include bacteria, blue-green algae, Protista, amoeba, paramecium and euglena. You are aware of amoeba and paramecium, I guess. Then fungi, yeast, rhizopus, mushrooms and moulds. Plantae, trees, plants, shrubs, etc. Animalia, fishes, insects, animals like elephants, humans, birds. All the organisms which are motile in nature and which cannot prepare their own food, that is, which are heterotrophic in nature, comes under the category of Animalia. All organisms which are non-motile in nature and which can prepare their own food comes under the category of Plantae. For example, basic example is plants and all the organisms. Okay, and the organisms which are heterotrophic and non-motile comes under the category of fungi. The organisms which are motile but unicellular in nature comes under the category of Protista. The organisms which are unicellular and comes under the category of prokaryotes comes under the category of Monera. Okay. So, next slide. Further, it's a basic explanation of the 5 kingdom classification. I'll go with the Monera. Monera are prokaryotic bacteria. Some make us sick, but many more help us. They don't have a true nucleus. That's why I told you, bacteria will not have a true nucleus. Many of the bacteria are harmful in nature, but some of the bacteria are also useful in nature. For example, lactic acid bacteria, which helps in conversion of milk to curd. Protista are usually small single-celled organisms that can contain qualities of both plants and animals together. Fungi are not, of course, plants, nor they comes in the category of animals. They are mushrooms, toadstools and molds that grow on bread. They have a cell wall which is made up of chitin. You can see a small white color layered structure which are grown on the breads or any other food which is being stored for a longer period of time. Okay. Now comes under plants. We recognize plants because they are usually green in color, of course, which contains a chlorophyll pigment in their nature, and they of course synthesize their own food by the process of called as photosynthesis, and they are autotrophic in nature, which contains cell wall as well. Animals comes under different shapes, different forms, and humans, corals, snails, sharks to sea animals. They don't have a particular cell wall and they are mobile in nature. That is, they can move from one place to other place. Okay. So now in this topic, I'll just end the topic by the 6 kingdom classification. Further, why do you want 6 kingdom classification? We have already discussed about 5 kingdom and it is widely accepted. So why do you want 6 kingdom? Here, Carl Woese, the scientist called as Carl Woese, a professor in the Department of Microbiology, invented this 6 kingdom classification was further, this 5 kingdom classification was further divided into a single group, that is Monera. The 4 kingdoms, that is Protista, fungi, animalia and plantae are kept under the same categories, but the kingdom Monera is being divided into 2 other classifications. That is, we have all studied about the bacteria. Bacteria are very vast organisms. So these organisms should be placed under a different category. There was a plan, there was a growth, there was a debate around the bacteria should be placed under a different category. So because of that, this kingdom classification, 6 kingdom classification has been put forward. It was also known as 3 domain system, as in organism classification was done in 3 domains, that is Archaea, bacteria and Eukarya. It majorly used the basic principles of 5 kingdom classification. There was not much more difference, only a few differences of Monera kingdom classification. But that's what I told you, Monera, that is the kingdom Monera is divided into 2 domains, that is Archaebacteria and Eubacteria and other eukaryotes in the 3rd kingdom classification. In the further slide, you can see in the next slide, organisms which are divided into 3 domains, that is in Monera, that is in Monera kingdom is divided into 2 kingdoms, that is Archaea and bacteria. In Monera, the kingdom is only comes under the category of bacteria, whereas the other category called as Archaebacteria, or you can also call as Eubacteria. Archaebacteria and Monera are 2 domains which are being classified. Later on, the eukarya, that is eukaryotic cells, are same. The prokaryotic cells have been divided into 2 domains, that is Monera and Archaebacteria, that is bacterial kingdom as well as Archaea kingdom. And the eukaryotic kingdoms are remained as the same, that is Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. Mycota is nothing but the fungi, don't get confused. So Protista, Mycota, plantae and animalia. Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia are remained the same, but the bacterial kingdom, that is the Monera kingdom, is being divided into 2 different categories, that is bacterial kingdom or Monera or Archaebacteria. So we will be studying about each and every kingdom in detail in our further topics. In this chapter, we will be studying about kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom fungi, and kingdom plantae. Of course, we will be studying in the next chapter, that is 4th chapter. In the 4th chapter, we have about kingdom plantae. Of course, Animalia comes in the category of zoology chapter. So, you will be studying about kingdom Animalia in a zoology subject. But about kingdom Monera, Protista and fungi, we will be studying about in detail about all these kingdoms in this chapter. And about kingdom plantae, we will be studying about that in 4th chapter of our subject. Okay. So, if you have any doubts, go through all the topics in your textbook. And if you want, you can